We are back with another edition of What's Next? Living Longer, Better, Smarter. You won't want to miss this one. Friends, family, food, and a helping hand. This episode is made possible by Ageless Innovation, maker of Joy for All companion pets, board games, and card games. Play has no age limit. Learn more at joyforall.com. I'm Fred Fishkin along with Mary Furlong. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Fred. With Thanksgiving coming up, this is always my favorite episode of the year. So excited to have this group.
For good reason. It's become our tradition to have with us a couple of our favorite people. Joining us once again is the legendary PBS chef, author, restaurateur, Lidia Bastianich. Hi, Lidia.
Hi, Fred. Hi, Mary.
And from Ageless Innovation, a company that has helped to brighten the lives of so many older adults, co-founder and CEO Ted Fischer. Hi, Ted.
Hey, Fred and Mary. Lydia, always such a pleasure to be here with you. This tradition is one that I hold dear, and so love seeing you and all the work you continue to do.
Yes, it's like family here.
That's exactly right. And it's wonderful to have you both with us today for a pre-holiday episode. And Ted, I can't believe this. I knew you 10 years ago. I still remember when you were at Hasbro and you had this dream of building this company. And now 10 years later, the Joy for All brand has really brought joy to so many.
Yeah, it's incredible to think that 2025 will mark 10 years since the inception of Joy for All. And, I'm just constantly reminded of how much need there is. And it continues that, 10 years later, no matter how many older adults you speak to, I haven't found one that doesn't want more fun, joy, and play in their life, right? So, I think just below family, fun, joy, and play is right there for most folks. So it's a real honor to be here 10 years later.
We're getting food here, Ted, and we're going to bring that up now. Lydia, I think this year was your 26th anniversary with PBS?
It was 26 years.
Wow. Well, we just love the way you bring us all into your kitchen, often with some of your family, and still bring us the singing of your late mom, who we were lucky enough to have with us on the podcast 4 years ago. And now you have an hour-long special premiering on PBS November 26th. Lidia Celebrates America, Changemakers. Let's take a look at the trailer.
In this year's Lidia Celebrates America special, I am setting out to meet Americans who are changing the way we think about food. Entrepreneurs striving to increase sustainability.
Crickets are delicious, they're nutritious, and they're sustainable.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Homegrown chefs reviving our connection with the land.
Vegetables shouldn't just be an afterthought.
Community leaders working to change health outcomes.
We all have a right to healthy food.
Nonprofits improving food access.
When we all do our part, all those things come together and make something really amazing.
So that we, each of us, might be inspired to move to a more sustainable future together. Show me what you got here.
Wow, just wonderful, Lydia. This is the latest in a series of Lidia Celebrates America documentaries, isn't it?
Yes. It's my the 12th year. I have my cooking show, which is an hour every week on PBS across the United States. But then 12 years ago, I had this desire, and I presented it to PBS. I wanted to show my appreciation for America, being an immigrant and being, America gave me the opportunity to be, and to become what I am. And hence, I love traveling through and looking for reasons why America is wonderful.
Terrific, Lydia. Just beautiful. And we're going to talk more about some of the change makers that you're bringing to us. But first, let's hear a bit from Ted, who has a new age-inclusive game in his lineup in our fun category. Ted?
Yeah, we just announced it last week. It just launched. It's our new Taboo Charades game, which is fantastic for older adults and their families, and it kind of takes the best of if you've ever played Taboo, which is a great game that, there's certain words you can't say to get to you have to, to guess a certain word, but we also added a charades part of it. So certain cards, kind of have the finger over the lips, and then you have to act it out. And so, it gets people engaged and involved. All the testing we've done to date with older adults has been fantastic. They, as always, the input of older adults is what drives our design process. And so we don't assume that we know. We go out and talk to the experts, and they're the good news is they're really, really willing to share and tell you what works and what doesn't work. So we're excited about this one, and we think it's going to bring a lot more fun to families.
I can't wait. And of course, we had a great game night here in San Francisco last June at our conference. So the Joy for All games are really wonderful, with little touches that make them easier and fun for older adults to play. I just love your Reach Out and Play campaign, and that's going gangbusters, right, across the country.
Yeah, that's been it's been one of the joys. We launched it last year with AARP as our title sponsor. They renewed for 2024. We're hoping they'll renew again for 25. And I've been now to dozens, maybe more than dozens of events. And the joy and happiness of the participants when you see them coming around a table. There's language issues, and the gameplay just minimizes all of that. And just all that comes is the fun and joy and play. And unexpected things like we have this great matching game that's past and present pairs. And what we noticed, there's this one event we went to, a bunch of people came in on walking devices. And in the middle of the game, we look over and almost every one of them is standing up because they didn't want to be the one who couldn't reach the card, to flip it over. And so unexpected things like getting people, moving and active and happy together. But you see the joy in the room and the laughter and the fun. I mean, we have some great videos, and that campaign has been just fantastic.
Your Trivial Pursuit Generations game has been named a finalist for Toy of the Year Award in the grown-up category.
Yeah, we couldn't be more excited. Trivial Pursuit, our version of it, which is generations. So on every card, there's a question for greatest, boomer, Gen X, Gen Z, and millennial. So, there's no subject matter expert across a generation that's going to, take the whole thing. And so there's a question for everybody. And it's really been, of the games we launched last year, it's really it's sort of the one that we can't keep on the shelf. And so really exciting honor to be nominated for a finalist for Toy of the Year. We'll find out in the spring whether we are the winner or not.
Oh, congratulations, Ted. So, Lidia,
Yes.
Let's talk about some of the change makers you're bringing to us in this upcoming special.
This year, what I wanted to highlight, because there was so much going on and negativity, America, and I wanted to really go out there and really search out, because there's plenty of them, change makers, Americans that really want to make a change, that want to go forward, that are positive, that care and love their neighbors and the future of the whole generations. What are we going to eat? Is there going to be enough food? Are people nourishing themselves well? So, I went to, I was in Minneapolis with Sean Sherman, who is a native Indian, and he has a restaurant. And this restaurant, he cooks traditional Indian food, reservation food. Not only does he cook, he sort of energizes the natives to grow their indigenous food, because it seems he feels that a lot of the malnutritions that happen in the community there is because, food has been changed. The natives have been sort of taken in, and big industry came in, and the government, told them, well, this is what we eat, this, that. And instead, going back to their natural food, it is healthy, and he also wants to bring the knowledge to all of America. He does television. He has this wonderful restaurant. He teaches there, and he invites young school kids. He has around the restaurant also all the vegetation that is very traditional in their culture. So that's wonderful, because, we need to know that is America. That is the real America. And I love that. And then I went to Minneapolis, they were a husband and wife team, and they called themselves the Cricketeers. So I said, I was a little kind of thinking about, well, crickets, bugs, are we going to start eating insects? Well, you know what? The travels that I've done, going to China, going to Mexico, going to India, insects are very much part of the meal. You go to a market in Mexico, you see mounds of dried grasshopper, ants, and eggs. And, insects are 100% protein, no fat, take very little to grow, and, they multiply quick. So it was interesting.
What did you think of the taste, Lidia?
Well, let me tell you. So I went there and I said, okay. So I saw this mound of dried grasshopper, and I said, so what do you do with them? Oddly enough, nicely, they made a flour out of it, and then they made pasta. And so we needed cut the pasta. So they said, well, Lidia, we can use your input. What would we dress this pasta with? So what I did, I made some pesto. I took, the regular basil, parsley, a little garlic, and instead of nuts, I threw in the insects, the dry insects, which gave it that crunch. And you know what? It was delicious. And then I wanted to visit a young woman chef in Appalachia. And she is, I remember, in hearing about Appalachia and seeing those pictures of these poor families standing in front of their doors, the whole family. And it's not like that at all. So Carrie is her name, this young chef. She opened a restaurant in Middletown, Virginia, right in the middle of the Appalachia community. And she wanted to show that the Appalachian the sort of community is nurturing themselves. They're going back, they're growing their own animals, they're growing their own vegetables, they have plenty of it. And she wants to elevate that traditional food that, cabbage and potato, whatever, she elevates it to a dining experience, which is wonderful. And it was wonderful to see how, that whole area was really sort of alive and well and having a good life. And she wants to communicate that to America, to all the Americans, hey, we in Appalachia have great food, we are doing just fine, and encouraging all her neighbors to continue to nurture themselves, grow their things, and cook good food. And then I went to California in Inglewood. There is this organization, and it's called, the Social Justice Learning Institute. And there, it was amazing because this young woman, she realizes, that in different that area of California is the largest producing area of great vegetables and fruits and all of that. And yet sometimes the people that do all the work and over there don't have a balanced diet, do not get those fresh vegetables. Those fresh vegetables are packaged in the big trucks full of those vegetables go right out of here. And the people in the towns really lacking that nourishment. And so she organized where she goes, to the farmers, she goes to the depots, the distribution depots, and vegetables. You know that in America, we waste 40% of the food that we produce and buy, which is, it's terrible. And she goes to the farmers and whatever, and let's say that a head of cabbage, the outer leaves are a little bruised. She takes them all, cases and cases of it, things that wouldn't sell on the shelves of these fancy markets. And she distributes them in schools and institutions, local in these towns. And also, I was there for the distribution. She opens the door and there was a lineup of people with their little bags waiting. And whatever that vegetables that she collected, and that day she had string beans, she had zucchini, she had watermelons, and these people, very, very, how should I say, it was touchy because, they didn't just fill up their bags with everything, all that you can take. They judiciously took what they felt that their family could use and left some for others. And so I talked to her. I said, listen, I'm going to make a recipe with these ingredients that you have. And I did. We made a recipe. I took one of my recipes, I modified it. It was a pasta recipe. And we did it on one side in Spanish, on the other side in English. And we put it in the bag with the people. And you know what? It was amazing that, and it was wonderful, that a lot of those people saw me on television. Public television, is accessible all over, and they watched cooking shows. And so it was kind of a reunion, and I felt so good to be part of kind of, giving a little bit of my knowledge to these people when they went home happy and cooked that meal. So that was wonderful. So these are people, the change makers. They really take it upon themselves within their own communities. They, communities rally around these people because, people realize that we all need to be involved. And there's a lot of volunteers. So it's wonderful to share this with the audience out there. And of course, that food opens all doors. So, everybody was willing to talk to me, everybody. And that's my specials are all different topics. I did one on the veterans and all, but it's always through food.
Well, that's wonderful. What great stories. We can't wait to watch. And there's a message here about volunteering, a message I think we all need to hear at this time of year.
Yes, it's sometimes we think that, I can't. Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? How am I going to help? Well, there is all these organizations. They're all looking for people. They're all looking for hands. So look, you can certainly go and connect with the organizations once you see the show. But otherwise, go locally, whether it's Feed America, whether it's Children of anything, look in research and just go there and say, listen, I have a day free a week, 2 days, whatever it is, it's much appreciated and needed. And you know what? It makes one feel great. It's sometimes, giving is more than receiving. So it's it really feels great. And that's what we need to do, in today's world, help. Because, Mary, I was an immigrant. So when I came here, I was helped. The Catholic Charities brought us here as a family. But all the people, the neighbors, when they found the little apartment, the neighbors, the community came over, and it was amazing. They would bring bags of food to us. The people that you didn't know, whatever, that cared.
I get so many messages about people wanting to build these kind of connections. And a friend of mine in Marin, she used to be the CBS weather girl, but now she has a group of people that gather and make meals every Thursday and deliver them to the community. So we all can give in different ways. And Ted, you've not only given through the company, I know your family has been involved in Meals on Wheels, and you've also been the recipient of other groups helping you, like the Capital Connections, Steve Cohn's group. You've seen other people step up. Tell us a little bit about how philanthropy and giving has been a part of your world.
Yeah, well, first, Lidia, it's so inspiring. I love the Changemaker series. I love the fact that you're highlighting these people who, within communities where, it's no secret to any of us that it's been a rough 6 or 7 months with the campaigns and all the things going on and the divisiveness. But you're finding ways through food and community to bring people together across those lines and across those barriers. We're all human beings, and so it's so great for you to highlight those folks and the work that they're doing. Mary, we've been really lucky and blessed. I mean, I think I've told the story here my daughter and my experience, during COVID when, her junior year in college got canceled because of COVID, and we wanted to, we were driving home 11 hours in the car trying to figure out, how do I keep her from crying? But it was more about, what do we do to kind of turn this, negative situation positive? And we picked up a Meals on Wheels route, figuring they would need some help at that time. And it was the greatest blessing for us because I was never shut in. I was never quarantined. I had to get out every day and make sure that these 20 older adults that we were serving had their meals, and I got to do it with my daughter. So we've maintained that as a company. We do a Meals on Wheels route. We rotate around between the folks in here, and we pick up a route, and we've gotten to know the people on the route. And we don't do it every day, but we do it a few times a month. And it's a meaningful part of sort of our culture and what we're doing. And Steve Cohen's group at Capital Caring Health and their focus on, not just hospice care, but veterans and dementia care. And so we've been able to do this Robotic Pets for Vets program for the last 2 years. And last year we delivered to 175 federally run VAs, and this year we did 132 state-run VAs. And so we got to go and do some of those deliveries and see the difference that, a simple thing like our companion pets, a difference it can make in the life of a veteran, that is living, in a veteran's home and may not have family, may not have, and then bringing games so that they can, come together. I mean, to us, that it's a blessing and an honor. So we're proud of that work, but it's also sort of really ingrained in sort of who we are.
Just beautiful.
Great.
We're going to be talking a little bit more in a bit about help in Appalachia and the states and the communities that were hit so hard by flooding recently. Yeah. Lidia, we always ask, we'd love for you to share a favorite Thanksgiving recipe or two with us and our audience. We were sent along a couple of possibilities by your daughter, roasted pears and, is it pronounced amarine, cherries over ice cream?
This is the part where I always get hungry, Fred, right here.
Yeah, me too.
Food
had lunch. And there was also another marinated winter squash with sage. They both sound terrific.
Right. And they're simple. That's what, Fred, people sometimes say, oh, gee, I can't do that. But it is. And dessert seems to be, everybody loves dessert, and pumpkin pie and coconut pie, and certainly apple pie. All of those are fine. But one dessert that I recommend is roasted pears. And you have amarene cherries in the recipe, but you can replace any fruit. So let's say we are Thanksgiving, let's do it with cranberry. So you take the pears, you quarter them, bus pear, not overripe pear, and you take the cranberries and put them in a baking dish, and then you add apricot jam, a little bit of honey, a little bit of sparkling wine, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of orange juice, an orange peel, some vanilla, and you just roast it in the oven until the sauce becomes nice and sort of dense and syrupy, and the pears are soft, and the cranberries sort of break a little bit and release their color and their taste. And this is, you can serve it over a piece of pound cake. You can serve it over a mound of ice cream. It's just endless. Or you can serve it as it is. And you know what? It's in the oven. You can put it in when you're doing your turkey, or in the morning. You begin, and then you leave it out at room temperature. You serve it. So that I would like to recommend and share, and I hope that your listeners enjoy. And of course, the marinated squash. Now, this is the season of the squash, and there's butternut squash, there's acorn squash, there's all kinds of squash, and they're all good. Now, one has to pay attention because the skins are tougher on some rather than others. Like the butternut squash, you have to peel. The acorn squash, the peel is good if you roast it. So you just cut it kind of in diamonds, all the same, or in slices, or in moon shapes, whatever the squash kind of predicates. And you put a little bit of salt, pepper, oil, and some sage, and you roast them in the oven. You put them on parchment paper on a baking sheet. So you don't have to wash the baking sheet. The parchment paper is perfect. And you bake 1, 2, 3 of those baking sheets, so you have enough for everybody. And then you make a marinade, like a sweet and sour sauce almost, a little bit of honey, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of wine, a little bit of butter, and onions, and you cook that with the herbs, with sage. And once the squash is roasted, you pour this marinade between and on top of it, and you let it steep. You can make it the day before, then pull it out at room temperature. You can make it in the morning. The squash will absorb the flavor of the sweet and sour, and a great presentation. Could be a vegetable, it could be an antipasto, an appetizer, simple, easy, and seasonal.
Mary, you better take it. I've got too much saliva going on here.
Yeah, I'm starving.
How does that sound, Ted? Just the way she describes it, right?
That's the best part. I can't. I'd love to taste it, but I just like to hear her talk about it.
Right. Lidia, the words warm and authentic come to mind when I think of you and the relationship you have with us and with your television audience. I think that's one of your secrets to longevity on PBS. So we're so grateful to have you with us.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. It's, it is. I just came back from Palm Springs. I did a local food event there. And I do these events. I do a lot of fundraising now more than ever. I sort of eased off of the restaurant. My kids are running the restaurants, and I do the books and the television, and I do these kind of events. And I love doing these events. Yes, they're an effort. You have to travel, you have to cook, you have to do, but so rewarding because I really get to touch, to hug these people that you're talking about, that watch my show, that connect. And it really warms my heart to know that, through food, through me sharing what I love, my passion, I permeate the screen and go right into their houses, and they cook, they feel they're part of it. They know my family, they know grandma, they miss her, and so on. So there's really a connection there. It's been 26 years, but it's been like an extended family connection, and it's still there, and it continues. Just
beautiful. My wife and I met you first in line at a bookstore near us some years ago in Freehold, New Jersey, and that was a terrific experience. Congratulations, by the way, on receiving the Lifetime Achievement honor at the Daytime Emmy Awards this year.
I did. It was. I have, humbly, I'll say 3 Emmys. I'm very proud of them. And so receiving these Lifetime Achievement, it was just wonderful. And that's maybe a field that, I'm into food. But, the field of artists and productions and all that, receiving the honor from them, you can see how you can extend what you do. If you do it with passion or whatever, it extends into different fields. And it was just wonderful. It was so warm. My grandson sort of, Tanya, my daughter, she said, Lidia, who do you want to introduce you? Christopher Walken, this and that, this is the show people thing. I says, no, my grandson. And my grandson, Lorenzo, was planning to be there. And I says, Lorenzo's going to introduce me. And you know what? He was the hit of the party because he spoke about his grandma with all his heart and had me in tears.
Well, grandparenting is the best, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, the best. I tell my kids, I have, my son and my daughter, and I always tell them, I said, it was worth putting up with you so I can have my 5 grandchildren.
Ted, you have to wait.
My Lifetime Achievement Award right there.
Oh, nice.
Isn't she precious?
He is. New grandfather, Lidia, since the last time we spoke. So
are you?
That's my first one. Yeah.
Oh, it's the best. Isn't it the best?
Oh, people can tell you how great it is, but until it happens to you, you can't even describe it, right?
No, I used to say, I used the same thing, this grandma and grandpa's talking. I says, yeah. Once you have them, there's no return. There's nothing like it.
It's funny, So my daughter lives in Rhode Island also, and actually works here for us in our marketing group. So they live like 20 minutes away. Rhode Island is divided by this bay, so it's East Bay and West Bay. We live on the East Bay, and somehow the West Bay has become on the way to everything we do. Like we're going the other direction. Somehow we're stopping through Warwick. You know, oh yeah, right on the way. It's funny.
And wait until they grow up. And how old is he or she?
She, Winnie is her name, and Winnie is just 7 months old.
Okay, she's beginning to recognize you. She sees you when you come in, and she smiles and whatever. That's the best, when they begin to respond to you.
Yeah.
Well,
we're having a lot of fun.
And Tuesday night we cook for our grandchildren. So that today is Tuesday. So this is kind of a fun celebration. Yes. So this is a great episode. Thank you, Lidia and Ted, and continue to do such great work and truly living up for the Joy for All brand.
Thank you.
Really, I think we could sit here for a pretty long while talking about grandkids. I've got half a dozen. You know, I haven't even. Just such fun.
Yeah.
The websites, everyone, are lidiasitaly.com, LIDIAS Italy.com. You can find recipes there too, and joyforall.com.
Lidia, I'm going to send you one of these so you can play with Thanksgiving with your family, okay?
Thank you. You know, I like to, us Italians are game players. You know, we like cards. I love chess, dominoes, whatever. After a meal, it's not that, okay, everybody home. After a meal, you clear, and on the dirty tablecloth, life continues,
Right.
The drinking, the games come out.
Do you play Pedro or Pinochle, or what do you play?
Oh no, we play Briscola Trecette Italian. That's but the kids, but the kids now, they bring in their whatever iPods and whatever we do. We absolutely. But then at the end we sing too. And then when it's 3-4 hours have gone by, kind of hunger develops again. All the food that was left over, that was covered, comes back to the table. It's a refill time.
The Helping Hand theme, which is also part of the efforts of Lidia and Ted, is so important at this time of year. And this year, there are still so many people, many older adults, suffering in the wake of the flooding and devastation from Hurricane Helene. With us from USAging is CEO Sandy Markwood. Hi, Sandy.
Hey, Fred. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Most of us have seen the images and the initial news coverage of flooding that devastated such a wide area of the Southeast. And while much of that coverage has faded into the background, the needs of many older adults have only grown. So we so appreciate your leadership, Sandy. We've watched you up close through the years. Give us an overview of what you're doing with this crisis.
Well, Mary, again, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for also continuing to raise the issues around the devastation that communities, and especially hard-hit older adults and their caregivers, experienced with both the hurricanes of Helene and then Milton. Because what we have seen and heard from our members, the area agencies on aging across the country, is that the older adults who oftentimes take so much of the hit of any disaster, the highest fatalities, the highest incidences of serious illness, but also they are the ones that take the longest time to get their lives back together. So what we're hearing from the ground is people who have lost everything, and there are still communities in North Carolina without water, some without electricity. So there are many older adults who don't have homes. They don't have food. They don't have clothing. They don't have toiletries. They don't have the basics of life still now, months later. And so I want to make sure, as I know you do, that people don't forget about the needs of people in these disaster hit areas. because those needs are still as raw as they were in September.
So tell us about the work that USAging is doing in response.
Well, Mary, what we have long held dear is responding to the needs of our members and older adults in disaster hit areas. So we developed a disaster relief fund that is funded in part from our membership dues. But also when huge disasters like this hit, then we go out to our friends. We go out to the corporate world and foundations and other nonprofits, asking them to help support the disaster fund. The disaster fund takes no administrative overhead from USAging and no administrative overhead from the area agencies on aging who apply for these funds. 100% of the funds go directly to older adults to help them meet the necessities of life. As I said, many of whom have lost all of those necessities because of the disaster.
Well, of course, FEMA and others have been assisting as well, but with the magnitude of this, how can you help with the longer term needs of people who, as you said, lost so much? I mean, and on top of the physical losses, the emotional and psychological losses, so profound.
Well, I think, Fred and Mary, is that, so many people lost their housing. Or if they didn't completely lose their housing is now unoccupiable because of mold and the remnants of the flood. So they don't have bedding. They don't have blankets. As they're moved to alternative housing situations, they have to regroup with all of the things that we all take for granted are in our homes. Sheets, looking at blankets, dishes. They don't have any of that. It was all lost. So in addition to meeting those immediate needs of food and water and clothing, it's helping people get back on their feet, helping people get back to some level of normalcy by giving them the essential household goods that they need to be able to survive. And so through the disaster fund, we meet both the necessities that people have at the beginning of the disaster, but also continuing to help them through the recovery by being able to help them purchase what they need to be able to regain some normalcy in their lives. And, that might be a blanket. That might be prescriptions. That might be toiletries. That might be a winter coat, given the change in seasons. Because again, all of that was lost. And if it wasn't completely lost, it was so damaged that it is unusable.
So you were really there during the COVID crisis as well. And I know that the USAging area agencies on aging really know what's going on at the ground level. But tell us, the audience, about USAging and your mission and how you really help other people, older people.
Well, Mary, our mission, the mission of our members, and the mission of USAging is the same. It's to ensure that older adults, people with disabilities, and their caregivers can live at home and in the community, which is where we know they want to live, and to do so with independence, dignity, purpose, and safely. And so that is what USAging supports our members to do. But most importantly, the area agencies on aging are the front lines on the grounds to have that one-on-one contact with their client base to ensure that they can live well at home. And that takes the form of a variety of different programs, whether that be home delivered meals, meals in congregate settings like senior centers or community centers, medical transportation, in-home supportive services, housing repair and home modification, and caregiver supports, just to name a few. It's really providing any of the supports that an older adult would need to be able to live safely at home and in their community.
So you do so much to support caregivers and caregiving as well. Tell us about that kind of work. And others have told us that they think that caregiving is an issue as large as climate. I see so many people that are in the throes of caregiving, and that's only going to grow.
It's only going to grow. I think the estimate now is 53 million caregivers in the country. And as we look at this, and I have former First Lady Rosalind Carter in my head, who was such an advocate for caregiving, saying, you know, there are only 4 types of people: those people who are caregivers, those people who were caregivers, those people who will be caregivers, and those people who will need care. So it really impacts all of us. So the area agencies on aging in the nation operate the National Family Caregiver Support Program, which provides necessary support to caregivers, but it is underfunded. But it provides, you know, support groups, education to help people learn how to be a caregiver, because none of us trained to be one. And also looking at providing needed respite or giving caregivers a break so that they can come back renewed to continue the heroic work that they do. So the whole caregiving space, I agree with you, is as we look at the increase of the aging population, the population of people with disabilities is only going to grow. But currently, you know, if you're a caregiver and you are living with the person you're providing care, it is almost a full-time job, Mary. It's like over 37 hours a week. If you're not living with the person you're providing care, it is over a part-time job, 27 hours a week. So what we're looking at are people doing heroic work to be able to meet the needs of their loved ones. And as a community, as a society, we need to do all we can to support them.
Terrific, Sandy. Some final thoughts about how people listening or watching can help with the disaster relief.
Well, you know, Fred, Mary, thank you for giving me this platform to tell you about the Disaster Relief Fund, but we are still accepting donations. We do not have enough funds currently to meet the demands of the communities that have requested funding. And so any donations that people can generously provide us between now and the end of the year will go a long way to be able to meet the needs of all of those older adults who are impacted by these disasters. And again, 100% of any donations go directly to older adults. There is no administrative fee that USAging collects or the area agencies on aging themselves. It is all a direct pass through to meet the needs of older adults.
A lot of us think about giving in the month of November. And so this is such a worthwhile cause. And I love that there's no overhead, that is going directly to serve the needs of older people. Thank you so much for the work you and your team are doing, Sandy. We look forward to seeing your team at our National Press Club event in December, talking about caregiving. And we so appreciate you spending time with us on the podcast today.
Mary, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Sandy. The website again is usaging.org. Mary, this has been another very meaningful pre-Thanksgiving episode.
Really has. In spite of all the trials, there's still so much to be thankful for. I'm thankful for colleagues like Sandy and Ted and you and Lidia. And we hope every one of our listeners has a warm and wonderful holiday and contributes to this amazing fund to help older adults in North Carolina and Florida.
And we want to thank our sponsor for this episode, Ageless Innovation, maker of Joy for All companion pets, board games, and card games. Play has no age limit. Learn more at joyforall.com. And we so appreciate all of you for watching or listening. Remember, you can always find us at maryfurlong.com/podcasts.